How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Now today we are doing a commissioned piece. It's going to be a lamp, and I have just chopped up a lump of elm that I found kicking around. It's very dry, a bit soft in places, and the piece I've got on the lathe now is going to become the base for my lamp. So with the 40/40 bowl gouge spinning at 1400 RPM, we're going to very quickly get it into round. Now, I didn't show you on camera, but I've drilled a mortise in the back of this piece because I need to flip it round. So I'm working on the bottom of the base, and the bit that's facing the camera is going to be, as I say, the bottom of the base. The bit that's in the chuck is the top of the base, where there's going to be a mortise where the top part of the lamp can fit inside the base. That's a bit of a dodgy explanation, wasn't it? Okay, so we're pretty much into round. Yep, round. You can see a couple of soft spots in there. So we're just going to flatten off the bottom of the piece and put our mortise in there. So just making sure it's flat there with the big sanding pad. If you sand both sides of the piece at the same time, you know it's flat. So we're going to want to make a nice round lamp base. So just take the bottom corner off. Now the brief I was given for this lamp is onion shaped, which is not much of a brief. Now, what kind of onion do you think I should be going for? There's a lot of different onions. That's a 13mm hole in the bottom there. The rest of the lamp's going to have a 10mm hole through it, but I thought if there's any kind of alignment issues, I'll give myself that extra 1.5mm either side. And I drilled a bigger hole, a 35mm hole in the base, because I've got to drill a hole through for my cable. So that's where that's going to go. Sanding paste and shine juice finish. Job's a good one. Now you wanted to see me sharpen my tools in head cam, so here you go. I don't know how long people take sharpening tools, but I try and take as little time as possible. Job's a good one. So obviously I didn't want all that bark area, so we're going to round this off down to a nice, vaguely oniony shape. Yeah, I didn't want a 10mm mortise. It would create issues with making the tenon the exact right size on the other piece, so I wanted it maybe 2mm 2mm thick, about that thick. Okay, this is actually the same piece of wood. Yes, there was footage of me cutting up this log, but I had camera issues, so I couldn't show you that. So we're turning between centres with the step drive in the back end of it, 1400 RPM. And we're just going to get into round as quickly as possible. You might have noticed for the half a second you could see it stood still. There's a lot of cracks in this piece of wood. And at this point I was hoping that there were no cracks going all the way through it. Spoiler alert, there might be some cracks going all the way through it. So it seems a shame that I had to turn most of that piece of wood into sawdust, but I had to get the width on the bottom end, so that's what we had to do. You can see those cracks and bark inclusions starting to come to the surface now. Okay, so I'm just making the tenon to go into the lamp base. I've not shown you all of that process, but a lot of measuring and some nice gentle cuts. As I say, 2mm tenon on that. So now I've got to drill our 10mm hole all the way through that enormous piece of wood. And we've got this magic drill bit that I found on eBay. It's a foot-long drill bit, which is a handy bit of kit. So on the left-hand piece there, I've got my activator. On the right-hand piece, we've got mitre bond, which is a CA glue, basically, thick CA glue. Give it a whack, and loads of pressure. And I went for a cup of tea at this point. Mitre bond doesn't take long to go off. Nice cup of tea, and we're ready to flip it round. Look at the state of it. You can see that I've poured loads of glue in those cracks in an effort to sort of hold it together. Yeah. So we're now spinning at 800 RPM because I didn't dare leave it at 1400, and the rest of the project is at 800 RPM. I just thought 1400, you're asking for issues there, Will. So we've got a lot of material to remove, so I've tried to make it as quick as possible for you. And the way I'm going to attack this is to do little sections, you know, a section at a time, not try and get it down to one long piece and then finish it from there, because that was never going to happen. What an ugly piece of wood. Okay, so tailstock has been removed. You can see there's an almighty wobble now. Means my tailstock may be out of alignment again. Either that, or there's a bend in the piece, one or the other. So we've got to get that back into round. It's going nice and steady. Doesn't look much like an onion, I can hear you saying. Well, there's still time. Okay, so that's the first 5 inches done. So time to put a bit of finish on there, sand it up to 800 grit, sanding paste and shine juice. I thought it was a sensible idea just to finish it as I went, or at least do the majority of the finishing. It's going to be a pretty piece of wood. So on to the next bit. Now, if you could look at the end of the piece, you can see that it's currently in balance and not moving. But the thinner we get, the closer we get to the almighty great big cracks that are in this piece. Okay, so we're on to the third section now. And this is where the worst of it is. Yeah, there's no images today, because nobody sent me anything. So, if you're a pen turner, if you're a bowl turner, if you're a spindle turner, send me some stuff, I'll feature it on the channel. Okay, have a look at them cracks. At this point, if I'd have blown on that piece of wood, it would have fell off. You can see it moving. There's only bark holding that together. Yeah. So I mixed together some sawdust with some CA glue and did my best to stick it back together and fill all the voids. Look at the state of it. If I'd have known that was there when I started, I might have picked a different piece of wood. So that sawdust I'm using is straight out the bottom of the bandsaw. It's a mix of just about every type of wood imaginable. It makes quite a nice multicoloured textured layer. Right, so you can see the end of the piece is no longer where it was before, so it was a good idea that we finished it while we had the chance. So we're on to the final section. Now, as I said, there was some hard areas and some soft areas in this piece of wood. It was fairly easy to turn, but it was horrible to sand. The sandpaper was just ripping chunks out of the soft areas and not touching the hard areas. I imagine it was bouncing. Starting to get a bit more oniony. Okay, that is the shape I had in my head when I started. Just got to tidy up that join. And that's the end of the gouge work. Fill a few more cracks first, obviously. Okay, on to the sanding. Horrible to sand, as I've said, but we got there in the end, all the way up to 800 grit. Did most of it by hand in the end. And sanding paste and shine juice. Uh-oh. We got a problem. That was pretty heartbreaking when that happened, I'll be honest with you. So, bit of glue, good as new. Stuck it back on and polished it back up. It's a bit late for starting again. At that point there was only bark actually holding those two pieces of wood together, just bark and nothing else, so I'm not surprised it fell off really. But there you go folks, all polished up. And that's why I chose that piece of wood. I knew there was going to be some pretty awesome colouring going on in there. So all we've got to do now is make it into a lamp. Got a nice little kit off eBay. That nut just fits nicely into that 13mm hole. Bit of glue. I didn't show you all the wiring up because it's ridiculously tedious. And a nice copper fitting on the top. And there it is folks, one onion lamp with copper fitting. I didn't show you the drilling of the hole for the lead, but that was pretty spectacular as well. Managed to get a nice straight hole for that one. So there it is. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of the lamp in the comments, whether you want to see more lamps. I've got a couple more to do. Yeah, I hope you're all staying well and safe out there, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers folks.